Verlon, Veron Laquan Banks Jr. is a kid living in terrible conditions and who has an abusive stepfather. He lives a bad life trying to keep his own and protect his siblings. His father is put in jail and he hasn't seen him in months. His mother abusive gets abused by his stepfather. Quentin finds his safe place, which is a playground rocket ship, but then gets taken away from him. Also pours his heart into his letters, getting sent to Justice, his cousin's best friend. He doesn't have much money and food, so he tries to survive and help his survive. His stepfather dies, and now he has to cope with an abusive parent dying. A series of events that put Quan in the wrong place at the wrong time led him to jail himself. Life is crazy.
In the book Dear Justice, author Nick Stone tells the story of Quan, a teenager who has faced a collection of traumatic experiences and turns to the Black Jihad as a way to find acceptance. How might the programs you work with help teens choose more positive paths, and what kinds of programs exist?
All right. Good morning, students. Thanks for allowing me to join your call. My name is Ashley Grayned. I am a proud product of Decatur Public Schools, where I have worked for 7.5 years. I literally started as a coordinator for extended learning opportunities, and been promoted over the past 7.5 years to now my current title and role is the Executive Director of Strategic Planning and Innovative Programs. So a lot of my work that I take great pleasure in doing is providing and developing meaningful opportunities for our students. Students like Quan, programs that help students find a voice. I focus a lot on post. Can you all hear me? I'm sorry. It seems like it's just on my end then. My programs help students find and identify postgraduate opportunities that really tie into their passions. A lot of times, so in society, we focus on college readiness, and college is great. I'm a college graduate. I have my master's degree, but many times we leave off the fact that our students should be prepared for career readiness opportunities. So my programs help students that, yes, if you're going to college, we can help you transition to a 2-year or 4-year. But programs that I have developed, our Caterpillar Career Pathways program is focused on welding and manufacturing opportunities. I have also been a proud participant in developing trade programs and essential skills programs that help our students succeed and tie in to their career interests, no matter what career path or track they want to take. So the goal is to be for our students and our students, as well as you all, to become productive citizens in today's society. We should be developing programs that allow our students to develop transferable skills across different industries or across different states and different things like that. So that no matter where you all go or what you become, you have skills that help you succeed, help you grow and develop as human beings, and most of all in your career.
Ava B got kicked out. Ava R, do you want to maybe keep going, and then we'll get Ava B in the next round?
Okay. In the book Dear Justice, Quan had a Quan does not have a role model that he can trust and look up to. How can parents help someone to look up to that will guide them in the right direction?
Can I have you ask that question again? I'm not getting good service. Can you all hear me?
Okay. In the book Dear Justice,
Quan does not have a role model that he can trust and look up to. How can help his fear if someone looks direction?
I heard in the book he does not have a role model to look up to. In the book, how can programs help kids identify? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Programs are very vital in helping our students build meaningful and lasting relationships. Just like you all with your teacher, Mrs. Bonner, one of her main goals, I'm sure, is to create a foundation of trust and communication with you all so that you all feel comfortable going with her, sharing concerns, sharing goals, sharing your ambitions, and sharing things that you all maybe don't feel comfortable sharing with parents or other friends. So I believe as educators, as adults, as humans, as parents, I have two young little girls. Our first line of building meaningful relationships is creating a foundation of trust. So it is very unfortunate that the gentleman did not have someone that he felt like he could confide in and be there for him, because we all need those relationships. We need those cheerleaders in our lives to push us, to motivate us, to correct us and provide that constructive criticism. So in my programs that I develop, I never develop a program without having a coordinator that the students, whether it's myself or my innovative programs coordinator that works alongside with. We always provide district level support for our students, as well as when I partner with a business like the Caterpillar internship co-op, I always make sure to set the expectation that businesses identify someone to manage and coordinate that program within, so that if our students are out at a co-op or a job or an internship site, they don't feel alone. They have that safe space, that safe person that they can go to and share their concerns or celebrate some successes, so that the students buy in. And when they buy in and have someone that they can confide in and build a relationship with, a lot of times that allows for that sustainability of that program. So we provide our students support at the district level throughout the program, but also at the internship or the program site as well. And then myself or my coordinator is in constant communication with whoever is identified as the program's coordinator at that business site. So it's ongoing, continuous communication about our students, about the success, about things we need to change, ongoing, continuously.
Somebody from that group want to jump in next with the next question?
In the book, Dear Justice, Quan doesn't have many people in his life that take a good leadership meeting. How can having the responsibility of leadership affect Quan?
Okay. Leadership is essential to human development. Leadership looks differently. Some leaders are assertive, outgoing. You can walk in a room and you can identify leaders with big personalities. But leadership also comes in the factor of being a good listener, being a role model, creating trust and communication between you and your peers or you and your colleagues. So leadership is critical, but I want you to understand and hear me that it looks different based on everyone's personality and their comfort level of what they want to put out. It is unfortunate that Quan didn't have leaders in his life, or leaders, or people in his life that really took leadership seriously or knew the meaning. And a lot of time with trauma, and trauma and different things that, different circumstances that individuals go through, it looks differently. And maybe it isn't that those people didn't care about leadership or developing his leadership skills. Maybe they didn't know how, because maybe they didn't know, or maybe they weren't shown as kids or young adults how to be good leaders or what that looks like. So it is important, or it would be important, as I create my programs for our district, to model that behavior. I am never the type to try to say, do as I say, but not as I do. And so as you all are going through your educational journey, or you're playing sports, or even in your personal home lives, I encourage you all to always model the behavior in which you want people to see you, in which you want people to respect you. Because what we can change is individuals' perspective of us, but perceptions are not always our reality. But when people meet us, those are the things that they take away from us. So leadership is very important. How you act, how you carry yourself, the level of engagement you have with your teachers, or when my interns are out within the community, I always encourage them and remind them, you are a reflection of not only yourself, but your family, the school district, and your community. So always remember that in your day-to-day lives, that you want people to take you seriously, and they do that based on how you act and behave, which is also another form of leadership.
Reagan, do you want to ask the next question for me, please?
In the book, Quan needs someone to have a positive influence on him. Do you believe that's a figure all students need?
Oh my goodness, absolutely, 100%. I think that for me personally, um, and I encourage you all to even think about, what is your life's mission? For me, and I'm big on the hashtags. I may look a little older, but I still love my hashtag. My life's mission is hashtag to inspire, hashtag to transform, and hashtag to empower. In everything I do, I'm a wife, I am a mother, I am a career woman. In everything that I do, I want to empower and make sure I am doing it with genuine care, concern, and wanting what's best for those individuals. So I 100% encourage you to find a life mission, and then tie your ambitions, your dreams, your passions to that, because then it's not work. I guarantee you, Mrs. Bonner does not feel like, oh my God, I have to go to work and teach my students again every day, because it's tied to her life mission. So we have to find a way to do what drives us, what influences us, what gets us out of the bed, and do it with grace. And I think that we do that by tying it to a life mission, and making sure we're impacting and we're transforming everything we touch, and we're doing it with the goal in mind to make this world a better place, to make someone else's life, a student's life, better, to impact my colleagues' life, my daughters. Make sure that I'm setting a pathway that my struggles in life doesn't have to be their struggles. And so it's critical for our students to have role models, and people that, again, they can lean and depend on, and they can trust. So as you're going through your educational journey in your life, find you a life mission, and then tie everything you do back to that, so that you're not wasting a second, a minute, a day, or an hour doing things that are not productive, that don't feel good, and that isn't helping other people be successful and be their best self.
In the book, Quan has bad experiences with his stepdad. What can you do to help kids that have bad experiences with parents or step parents in the past?
I think for myself working in the educational field, it goes back to making sure adults build those meaningful relationships so that students feel comfortable sharing things that are going on in their personal lives, sharing trauma, sharing how they are victims of different, maybe domestic violence or even sexual abuse or those types of things. A lot of times students are dealing with things, and it may come in the social and emotional suicidal realm, or just everyone has a different story. And I think for myself, it is critical to build meaningful relationships that are built on trust, respect, and communication, so that my students, the students that I influence or impact within my programs, feel comfortable sharing those things. Because if someone comes to me and say that they are victim of sexual abuse, then I know the protocol in reporting those things and trying to make sure that student is removed from that situation, that hostile environment, getting them the counseling skills and coping mechanisms that they need to be better, to heal, and those types of things. But it goes back to adults creating and fostering nurturing relationships that students feel comfortable sharing their concerns or things that bother or are harming them.
In the book, Quan deals with lots of barriers and problems. Have you worked with kids that remind you?
Absolutely. In our school district, we're a public school district within our community. We serve almost 9,000 students. And I born and raised here in Decatur, Illinois. I'm proud of my community. I'm a proud graduate of public schools. It is unfortunate that even in the 21st century in 2020, the socioeconomic status amongst families there's still barriers, meaning poverty is real. Trauma-informed situations are real. So in our school district, our poverty rate is 70%. So that means a lot of our students may be dealing with things that are not ideal. Whether it's a one-parent home, whether it's not food not being on the table, heat and water, whether it's transportation barriers, different things like that. And I don't want you all for one second to think that because students don't come from the most ideal homes that there's not love in the home or different things like that. And these students don't have to be a product of their environment. That's why it's critical for me to develop programs that help our students out of poverty, that help our students see their way beyond maybe their current circumstance. Just because they are born into unfortunate circumstances, some of them, they don't have to stay there. Their parents don't have to stay there. Life is not always fair. It deals different families and different individuals, different cards. Some are unfortunate. Some people lose their jobs. Some people have lack of education. Some people just need a second chance at life. And sometimes our students are born or are in these environments. And so it is absolutely critical that opportunities are presented, that we expose our students so that they can have a dream, so that they can see themselves as a firefighter or as an EMT paramedic, or as the next president, or as the next governor, or as the next Mrs. Bonner, that's teaching and impacting lives every day. So yes, I've had several students that want to be in internships programs, but not everybody has a car at 16 years old. So for me, I always try to have different options available, whether that's bus tokens, or I've literally left my work and I have an office to take students, pick them up at school, and take them to Caterpillar to make sure they're there for their internship co-op. But again, it's building those relationships so that a student can call or text me and say, hey, Mrs. Grayned, I need help today. And while we work on different opportunities or different contingency plans, I don't mind dropping off or helping assist in any other way for our students. So yes, plenty of times, I'm sure it won't be the last time I've been able to help our students get books for dual credit programs. I'm smart enough to be accepted, but man, I can't cover the books. Well, that's where adults come in, and you have to advocate for your students and want them to succeed. Not just the maybe lower income, but I've also helped connect students that are just having a tough time and need counseling services, need someone to talk to, need coping skills, and different things like that. Maybe they suffer from anxiety. So yes, always trying to do what's best, provide resources is what I call them, because it's not enough to develop meaningful programs if we're not going to provide our students with the resources to be able to be successful in those programs.
Team, we have about 4 minutes left for our time today. I would say, since Abby, that was your question, I'm looking at the order. Maybe Reagan, if you wanted to pick maybe one, Ava B, maybe 2 more questions at the very most, just to kind of be mindful of our time.
Quan often says that he would have made better choices if he had someone that would believe him. Do you feel the role of believing the child if no one else does?
I think that's critical. I think as parents and adults, we feel like we try to know as much about our students or our children as possible. And students have to have a voice. Kids have to have a voice. So even my daughters, when they come and tell me, Sissy hit me or Sissy did this, it's trying to get to the bottom of it, because the truth is out there. I never try to say to students or even my own daughters, you're not telling me the truth, or I don't believe you. I try to hear the story and listen to all of the details before I come to my conclusion. So if Quan was telling someone, I am being victimized, and the person is like, I don't believe you, whatever, go on about your business as normal, the adult is wrong. Instead, if he is going to someone that he trusts enough to bring this up and share his concerns, the adult should listen, collect the details, formulate a plan on what's next to help him, and move on from there. But I don't ever think you should just say you're lying, I don't believe you, it's not a big deal to me. I think you should always listen for understanding, and see how you can assist the student in whatever they're sharing with you.
I think we have time for one more question from our team of questions. That anybody wants to jump in and ask one more question. They have way more questions for you than we have time, Ms. Grayned, but I'm going to let them ask maybe one more.
Okay.
You want to jump on and ask. Maybe that's my cue, Miss Grayned, to ask a question that I'm very curious about. So I'm gonna butt in with the
Okay.
There's a point in our book that we're reading where and I don't want to give too much away because we're not finished reading it yet, and I don't really want to host any spoilers to this group because we're finishing it over the next couple of days. But our main character, Quan, He is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he is unjustly arrested and held and put into a detention center. And there's this idea that he keeps talking about like life after his time in this detention space. Can you speak to any of that experience in terms of supporting kids, you know, after being in like an alternative space, or possibly when they've been put into this space where they're looking to move forward in many ways?
Mhm. Absolutely. You know, my husband is actually a correctional officer of 11 years. And before I got into education, even though my master's and my degree is in business, I actually worked 18 months in our women's correctional center in Decatur. So I kind of seen firsthand how the inside of the system works, and it made me literally say, I have to get out and help students, help people before they end up in jail. And I think we do that by providing meaningful programs at the pre-K 12 level, at the post-graduation level, so that crime is, in my opinion, crime is an extension of poverty. A lot of times when you look at our system of incarceration amongst African Americans and Caucasians and men and women, and it's an extension of poverty. When people don't have food on the table, sometimes they go make the bad decision in our minds to go steal, to eat, to provide diapers for their children, or do different things like that. Murderers and different things, people like that are incarcerated, I guarantee you there's trauma in their story, right? And they didn't get the right help, or, you know, we sometimes we fail them as society. We fail people. And so programs, recidivism, in order to decrease the recidivism rate, which is the rate in which people continue the cycle of incarceration and those types of things, we have to provide programs that are meaningful while they're incarcerated, which that's helping mothers and fathers get their GED, or keeping them connected with their children, so that hopefully once they get out of prison or jail and they land on their feet, they can be reconnected or reunified with their children, because we know children achieve better. Families are better together in a happy, healthy, thriving environment. So yes, it's not just good enough for me to provide meaningful programs to hopefully change the trajectory of generational cycles of poverty, but what happens once you make the mistake? We just should not turn our back on people because they've made a mistake. I always say, I'm a living witness of grace. If you think Mrs. Grayned is sitting on the phone and she's perfect and she's never made mistakes, maybe I drink of wine and know I wasn't at the over the blood alcohol level, but think about what could have happened had I ran into somebody. So I try to decrease my level of judgment. I try to remember that although I'm privileged, because myself, born and raised, middle class, 2 parents, Christian home, that's not everybody's story. And so we always have to show grace to, it's easy to say, well, just lock them all up, or just throw away the key, or just do this, or just do that, or why are they stealing? Well, I've never had to go without a meal on my table. My daughters have never had to go and worry about their next meal, or if the lights will be on, or my kids' Christmas list contains Birkenstocks and North Face. That's what they're accustomed to, life. Because yes, we've worked hard, and yes, I've educated myself, and thank goodness it's paid off to where I have a nice job that allows me a nice house and cars, and my daughter can compete in expensive gymnastic teams, and all, we can take lavish vacations. That's not everybody's story. So we have to provide programs to help students, to help families, to help adults that have made bad decisions or wrong decisions. And we can't be the judge, the juror, and the prosecutor. And so for me, it's important to provide programs at all levels to hopefully decrease the poverty, increase opportunities, not just for college-bound students, but students just Miss Grayned, I just want to go to work. I just want to make $20 an hour, or I just want to get a welding certificate, or I just need a job so that I can help bring in income for my family. Because the more opportunities there are for students and families to succeed, and when people are incarcerated, if they come out and we don't have programs and they're just out on the street, then what do you think is going to happen? The same exact thing. So it's important at all levels to provide meaningful opportunities for those impoverished or those that have made mistakes to find a different pathway.
Ms. Grayned, thank you so much for your voice and your time. I really appreciate your expertise today. We wish we had more time to ask all of the other questions that we had, but we're very thankful for the time you were able to spend with us. As far as our class goes, this is the end of it. And again, thank you so much, and we wish you well. And hopefully my students will come on and, and wave to you. As a
Understandable.
All right,
Thank
everybody.
you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, y'all.